Okay, let's dive in. We're unpacking the core ideas of Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad today.
Yeah, and specifically, we're looking at that fundamental contrast between his two fathers.
Exactly. You've got one dad who's, highly educated, a PhD even, but financially, he struggled
And then you have the other, the rich dad, who never even finished the 8th grade.
and ends up becoming one of the wealthiest men in Hawaii. It's a stark
It
difference.
really is. And our mission here is to pull out those lessons, that mental programming that set them on such different paths.
And it seems like it all starts with language, just the words they used around money.
Absolutely. The educated dad, the poor dad, he would always say, the love of money is the root of all evil.
A phrase we've all heard.
Right. But the rich dad, he just completely flips on its head. He says, no, the lack of money is the root of all evil.
That one shift changes everything. And you see it in their immediate reactions to things.
Like when they couldn't buy something, the poor dad's default was, I can't afford it.
Which to Kiyosaki was like a thought-terminating phrase.
Yeah.
It just shuts your brain down.
Exactly. But the rich dad insisted on asking, how can I afford it? Which forces your brain to start working to look for solutions.
It's like a mental exercise.
It is. And that leads to this huge clash in what they valued in education.
Right. The poor dad's advice was study hard so you can find a good company to work for.
The standard advice.
Totally. But the rich dad said, study hard so you can find a good company to buy.
A completely different end goal.
Yeah.
It's not about being against professional skills, but
Yeah.
it's about what you do with them.
Which brings us to lesson number 1, the absolute foundation of the whole book.
The poor and the middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them.
And if you don't grasp that, you get stuck in what he famously calls the rat race.
It's a trap, and it's powered by two emotions. Fear.
And desire, greed.
Yeah, the fear of not having money, of not paying your bills, that drives you to work.
Then you get paid and the desire for nicer things kicks in, so you spend more.
And you're right back where you started, just with bigger bills. It's a vicious cycle.
The trick is to stop thinking with your emotions and start using them to think more clearly.
To pause and ask, is getting a bigger paycheck really the long-term solution here? Or is it just a short-term fix?
And Kiyosaki says the way out is to understand one simple, technical difference.
The difference between an asset and a liability. This is the whole game.
But his definition is, it's not what an accountant would tell you.
Not at all. It's incredibly simple. An asset puts money in your pocket.
And liability takes money out of your pocket.
That's it. And the rich spend their lives buying assets. The poor and middle class buy liabilities they think are assets, like a huge house.
He learned this in a pretty harsh way, didn't he?
Yeah. The story of his first job with Rich Dad, he was working for, 10 cents an hour?
Dusting canned goods. And then, after a few weeks, Rich Dad cuts his pay.
To zero. Nothing.
Which sounds brutal, but there was a point to it.
The point was to get the boys' brains off the paycheck and force them to see what others miss, to spot an opportunity.
And that's where the comic book library comes from.
Exactly. They saw that the store was throwing out old comics, so they collected them.
And opened a library in the basement, charging other kids 10 cents for admission.
And they started making $9.50 a week. The point wasn't the amount.
It was the fact that the business made money for them even when they weren't there.
That was the proof. That was money working for them. Lesson 1, in practice.
So, wrapping this up, the ultimate goal is to master money so you don't become a slave to it.
Right. And to do that, you need passion, you need energy. You have to really want to learn.
Which leads to this kind of final provocative idea he leaves you with, that money itself is basically an illusion.
Yeah, that its value is just based on our collective confidence, our agreement that it's worth something.
So the question to leave you with is a big one. What happens to our whole financial system when that shared confidence starts to wobble?
Especially when people realize the dollar isn't really backed by anything tangible anymore. What happens then?